Okay, guys, really excited to get to show this horn to you. This is the production model of the new Lotus Lead Solo. I did a video recently where I was playing one of the prototypes, and this is actually like one of the actual models that's going out to customers. First batch has already been arrived, and they're basically all sold out. Second batch is coming at the end of April 2025. I believe that entire batch is also sold out. And then there's another batch coming in May. And so probably in June, late May or June. And so there are currently still horns available there as of the time of making this video, which is mid to late April, of 2025. So anyway, but I thought I would give you another review on with an actual production model horn, and also with the horn in silver. The one I played before was a clear lacquer model, and it was a prototype. This is obviously the silver plated horn. I'm wearing gloves just because this finish is lovely, and I don't want to get my fingerprints all over it and make my shop have to clean it before it gets shipped out to someone else. So I have a gig tonight with a funk band, and so I think I'm going to take this tonight and play it on that gig. I don't often take horns on gigs, but if they're new models, if I have something coming up, I will take it to a gig. I'm not like playing the horns all the time on my gigs. Like, I'm not making them used, but I do that because I want to have like real world experience on an instrument. It's one thing to play an instrument in my music room here, but it's another thing to take it on the gig. And so I feel like if I can play it on a gig and come back and report to you what that experience is like, that's more beneficial than just noodling on it here in my house and then sharing thoughts there. In my experience, because I have so much experience playing these various horns, I kind of can tell if something's going to work well for me in an environment or not. But there are plenty of times where I've had an instrument that like I'm not so sure here, and then I take it on a gig, and all of a sudden it's like its qualities really stand out. Plus, the other side of a gig is like when I'm doing a review here, I'm playing for 5 or 10 minutes maybe. Usually haven't warmed up or anything like that. I'm just throwing a mouthpiece in and letting her rip. And whereas on a gig, I'm usually, depending on the gig, trying to warm up and pace myself a little bit. Plus, I'm playing over the course of an hour to 3 or 4 hours, and so that gives me far more feedback. So anyway, if I end up, I will probably tag onto this video with my gig results, and I'm going to try to remember to bring this camera so I can even record some of the gig, which would be fun. So okay, enough about that. 3 minutes in, I haven't even talked about the trumpet yet. So this is the Lotus Lead Solo. This instrument has been in development for several years. And I'm really excited to see it come out. You guys have been excited to see this too. I remember when we first started hearing about a lead model being in development, people were just like, blowing up my email like, hey, how can I get this horn? How can I get this horn? And so it's taken a while to get here, but it's finally here. I know they've done some video. Lotus has done some video on this horn that has been really exciting to see. I know Ryan Kaiser played one of the prototypes, and Ryan plays with Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra and a bunch of other things. Ryan's one of the best lead players playing today, bar none. And he loved it so much, he demanded to keep the prototype. Like, he liked it that much. And the one thing to consider is that when a guy of that caliber likes a horn that much, he's not doing it because it's cheaper than something else or whatever. When you're at that level of playing and you're at that level of like gig, he's making enough money. He can play literally any trumpet he wants. So he would spend whatever it took to get the best tool for the job. So for him to get that excited over the Lotus Lead Solo, to me, is a huge testament to the instrument. So that definitely, when I saw him get that excited about it, like, that made me think like, okay, they're definitely onto something here. So what you have with this horn is essentially a lightweight yellow brass instrument with a large 5.5-inch bell. And when I first saw this, I was like, what is going on with these specs? Like, this just seems kind of weird. And the more that I've played it, and the more I've kind of looked into it, I get what they're doing. With the idea of this being the lead horn, that this is, you're playing first in jazz band or first in your marching band or some ensemble where you're supposed to be the voice that everyone else is hearing and keying off of. This big 5.5-inch bell is this thing just will cover the ensemble in sound for sure. So it's a great choice for that. It's a lighter weight than some of the other Lotus instruments. Matter of fact, let's just weigh it real quick. Let's find out exactly. I don't have another Lotus here currently, like the classic, whatever. But it's coming in at 2 pounds 5 ounces, which is just like when I've weighed box and stuff in the past, they came in right about 2 pounds. So it's just a few ounces more than a Bach. You've got all of the Lotus kind of design language in terms of the appearance and how it looks, the way the bends are. Those are all, kind of just off of like this looks like the Lotus trumpets that they've been building in Italy. And it has the same geometry, the same look, everything. This horn is made in China, and I know there's been a lot of people, myself included, that were like, I'm not super worried about the China thing because we deal with a lot of Chinese manufacturers for other stuff. And like anything, there's stuff in China that's really cheap, like disposable basically. But there's also like really premium things that are made there, and it all just depends on which factory you're at and how much you're willing to spend. And so this is clearly the top end of manufacturing for brass instruments in China. So this has, and then also like even the valve tops got a little bling on them. This has the same fluted columns and design as the bottom valve caps and top caps as the more expensive Lotus trumpets. And yeah, this is in every way a Lotus trumpet. So wild. It's wild to me that they duplicated it to this degree and offered it for essentially half the price. But they did, and that's what this is. So good for you guys as customers, because you're essentially getting their design of a trumpet and half the price of what it normally would be. Most builders wouldn't do that. So kudos on to them for doing that. But yeah, just beautiful bracing, beautiful. The silver. There was some discussion online about like wondering about what the quality of silver plate would be. The silver plate is gorgeous. The fit and finish is excellent. I will say that probably due to muscle memory, we did have to do a little bit of slide alignment on the third slide when it came in, but that's why we do our own QC. We check all of these horns just to make sure that they're good to go. This particular model is a B stock. And so as we think about condition of instruments, A stock would be like stuff that's cosmetically and mechanically perfect. B stock are things that might have some cosmetic flaw, but are still mechanically perfect. And then C stock, you'll start getting into more like noticeable problems, but usually still mechanically sound, but might have some mechanical issues. This one, it's because when they did the bend here, it just isn't quite as perfect as what an A stock should be, and it won't show up on camera or video, but it's just not perfectly symmetrical there. Honest to God, 99% of people, if I didn't tell them this was a B stock, and if I didn't point that out, you would never see it. So this is a really nice way to save $300. And as of the time of this recording, I said, I think this trumpet's available, but it probably won't be by the time I get it edited and uploaded. These are selling out really fast. Anyway, so the B stock is $2,700. The A stock is $29.99. And then by the end of the year, these are going to go up to $34.99. Comes with a really nice Lotus case. This is the same case that the higher end trumpets came with. And it also is coming with 2 tuning slides. So it comes with 2 tuning slides. There is a brass with nickel silver legs. That's what's in here now. That's going to be the brightest sounding tuning slide. And then there's another one that is bronze with brass legs, which is this one. So the silver part here is bronze underneath, and then brass. This is going to be a little bit warmer sounding. So the brass and nickel silver will be the brightest sounding, which is what's in here, which is presumably what most people would want in a lead horn. But if you want to darken it up, warm it up a little bit, there's that slide, which I'll try that. And then there's a single mouthpiece pouch here that comes in the case that velcros to the side, which is really cool. It's a really nice case. It's got suspension on the inside to protect the horn so it can't shift around in there. Backpack straps, really nice single case. So yeah, those are very slick. Let's see, what else is I going to talk about? Oh, mouthpieces. So the Lotus trumpets used to come with mouthpieces. They're not coming with them now. That might be a permanent change for a couple of reasons. One, they're not coming with them right now because they just don't have the mouthpieces available. And then also, honestly, guys, it was a pain to include the mouthpieces with it because the way that all the other manufacturers generally do it is they just throw in a stock mouthpiece. Like you'll get a 7C or a 3C and that's it. But of course with Lotus, they make all these different types of mouthpieces and players are always like, oh, can I get a 3L or can I get a 5S or can I get a this, that, or the other? And like, or there isn't a 5S. You get what I'm saying? And you were constantly having to like pull stuff out, hope that you had the inventory of the size they wanted. It's just a nuisance. And so I asked them, I was like, honestly, let's lower the price of the instrument and not include the mouthpiece. And then that way people, because a lot of folks probably already have Lotus mouthpieces, they may not need another. I think they'd rather just save the money. So I'm hoping going forward, that's the way it's going to be. It won't come with a mouthpiece. You can obviously get one to come with it, but I'd rather just have it be a lower overall price to you, and then you get your own mouthpiece. So that's the way it's currently set up. Hopefully it stays that way. So in terms of fit and finish and design, like I said, this is excellent. They told us about the B-stocks before we ever even got them. So I like that they're doing that. Adam is doing all of the play testing on all these instruments, Adam Rappa. So you can't beat that. And then when they come to Ernie Williamson, we also do our own QC to make sure they're good to go. So you're just getting like 2 levels of inspection. Oversized barrel size water keys there. Thumb screw for the first slide, for the third slide. There's nothing, it's very common on this type of horn, nothing holding the first slide in, so that's why there's this hair tie here to kind of hold the slides together. I've got a Lawler that's the same way. I've got a bunch of horns that, I have to use something like this to hold that first slide in transport so it doesn't come out. But yeah, just a really, really gorgeous horn. All right, let's play it a little bit. Let me give you the caveat that I really haven't played much today. So, and I certainly haven't prepared anything like normal. So because this is the lead solo, I'll use what I use for a lead mouthpiece, and you'll kind of get an idea of what this sounds like. Sarge approved. All right, here we go. I don't know how much of this you're hearing over the dog howling. Sarge, that's enough, buddy. We get that this horn is Sarge approved. Okay, so me as a player, what I'm hearing, really effortless playing, basically, with a sound that is really wide and broad. This thing, I can just imagine, is going to sound really, really good. All registers are smooth and connected, and honestly, playing the F over high C doesn't feel much different than playing the F at the top of the staff. So everything about that to me shows it's well made. Yeah, it's bright without being obnoxiously bright. Like it's not shrill. So there's still and you could hear when I pulled back the volume, it was pretty decent sounding. I don't know that I'd play My Funny Valentine on this setup here necessarily, but it was respectable. You could get away with a lot of commercial playing with that kind of setup, and that's with the brightest tuning slide too. So let's see what happens as we switch over to the bronze tuning slide. because that should add a bit of warmth too. Now, my gut feeling, I have not tried this, but my gut feeling is that it's going to be I'll notice the difference. So it'll be a noticeable difference, but because it would probably be exaggerated with a different mouthpiece. Okay, so there it is, and you can see how that slide just fit in there perfectly. Yeah, I can hear already. It is warmer. Yeah, it makes more of a difference than I thought. I thought with this mouthpiece that the shallowness of the mouthpiece and the tight back bore would kind of override anything that might happen here in the tuning slide, and I was wrong. That's actually a very nice, reasonable sound. Let me grab my legit mouthpiece, my classical mouthpiece, and let's see what it sounds like. That's really nice. Yeah, that's good enough that honestly I could probably get away with playing that even in like a concert band or wind ensemble. It's with that slide, it's warm enough to like I wouldn't feel like I was really sticking out of place. For me personally, I still like a darker sound in those types of groups because I'm an upstream player and my sound tends to already kind of have that zing to it. I'm very sensitive about that, and when most players play with a sound that's a little more dull, and I want to try to blend with them. Leave comments aside for that, but and an overly bright sound also can just poke through the fabric of the ensemble. So trying to take some of the brightness off. So for me, I wouldn't choose this horn as a horn that I would use in like a wind ensemble or something. But if this was what was in my case and I showed up to a wind ensemble thing and I had both slides, I'd put the slide in, put my concert mouthpiece in, and I'd feel fine. I wouldn't feel like, oh, yikes. I think it, I'd feel okay for doing that. So I think this horn is versatile enough for that. But this is really designed at that person who wants more of like that first trumpet type sound. You want an instrument that is going to like kind of cover the section, that is going to fan out to the rest of the ensemble to hear that lead trumpet sound, and then will project out into the hall where the audience is at. This horn does that, all for a super, super reasonable price. Let's talk one more thing. This is already a long video, I'm sorry. One more thing. How does this compare to other horns out there that are doing a similar thing? In my mind, some of the top lead horns right now would be the Yamaha Wayne Bergeron LA model, the LA2, the Stomby VR2, and I would put this right up there, but they're different. So the Stomby VR2 and the Yamaha, very similar kind of horns. This one is kind of like that, but with just a broader sound. So if you want a bigger, broader sound and with a slightly different feel, there's a little bit less resistance in this horn maybe than what those others will have, then I think that the Lotus Lead Solo is a really, really nice choice, especially at its new price. You can't beat that. So I do, though, to be clear, I do really still like the Stomby and the Yamaha Wayne Bergeron. Those are great horns. If you want a more traditional, like bell size, more traditional form factor, but a great lead horn, those are two of my favorites as well. There's a few other horns. Carol Brass makes a few things that are really nice, especially in that price point. But those are kind of my go-to favorites of things that are widely available, still in production today. So anyway, yeah, friends, I'm a fan. I like this horn quite a bit. I'm going to play it tonight and see what I think. I'll try to report back. let you know what I think. I'll take it on the gig tonight and see what I think and report back to you. So there you go. If you'd like to get one of these for yourself, just head over to erniewilliamson.com and you can type in the search bar Lotus Lead and see if this comes up. If it doesn't comes up, it means we're out of stock of it. So then the best thing to do is search for Lotus Deposit. You can it's $500. You make a deposit, and that will reserve the next batch for you. In the order notes, you'll need to tell me what finish you want. Your finish choices are silver plate, a brushed lacquer, and a brushed raw brass. If it was me choosing, I'm going to choose either silver plate for maximum brightness or the brushed lacquer for a little more versatility. The brushed lacquer would make the instrument a little bit darker and warmer sounding at lower volumes, and then would be essentially almost just as bright when at higher volumes. So I like the brushed lacquer, but some people also either just need maximum brightness, they like the longevity of silver plate, which will last longer than lacquer, or sometimes they just visually, they like the way the silver looks. So if that's for you, do that. Not as big of a fan of the brushed raw brass, but you may love that look. It will tarnish over time, so just make sure you know that. And that is a sexy look. I get why people like it, but it just, from a retailer's perspective, those are not as consistent in terms of the visualness of it, and some people buy a raw brass horn and then they get frustrated when it tarnishes. And so I think, well, then don't buy a raw brass horn. Like with a raw brass horn, it's going to weather and age like the Statue of Liberty or something like that. And it's going to model and look different, and we can't control really what it's going to look like. So it's just going to do that over time. And if you love that kind of organic nature of it, and you like the sound of silver plate, but just want like this sort of, one-off appearance, then raw brass is cool. Also, some people don't like it because it'll turn their hands. It can turn some people's hands green. So if you dig all that, that's fine. But otherwise, silver plate or brushed lacquer probably the best choice for most people. So yeah, I'm a fan. Head over to erniewilliamson.com. See if we've got them in stock there. Lotus Lead Solo. Would you play one? Would you get one? Let me know.